Stephen Buck,
Present.
Tommy Johnson III,
Present.
Miles Davidson,
Here.
Derek Scobie,
Present.
James Johnson,
Present.
Shelley Perkins, AJ Griffin,
Here.
Melissa Markle, Jim Holman.
So a quick note, Ms. Porter, I know that Ms. Perkins is on the way, so I expect her to be seated at some point this morning. And also welcome our newest trustee, Jim Holman. Welcome, Mr. Holman. In the It's a Very Small World category, Jim's father, Dr. Holman, was my family physician growing up. So it is nice to make a reacquaintance. All right, so let's continue to move forward with the agenda. This meeting was properly posted on the date of June 12th, 2025. Reminder, this is a special meeting. Apologies for any of those who were impacted by the cancellation of the regularly scheduled 16th meeting. At this point, I'm going to ask Commissioner Davidson to please lead us in the pledge.
Stand if you're able. Salute the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, Ms. Perkins. At this point, we will move forward with citizen comment. As a reminder, public comment is limited to 3 minutes. I will call these within the order of which they were received. First speaker, please, Ms. Stanton.
I feel like I'm acting like a parrot, coming back and again and again. So I want your recommendation that you have Mr. Smith and Mr. Timmons go over the films of the week prior to my son's death, leading up to February 26th when he died that morning. He died in a cell by himself, alone. You tell me how the drugs got in there. I'm not going away. I'm going to be sitting here when you're done. And I would like the courtesy of one of you coming and talk to me. Because I've been before Brandy Gardner, Mr. Timmons, Mr. Smith. They all lied. Well, Mr. Timmons didn't lie, but Brandy and Smith did. I want some answers. I've been at it since 24, and I'm not going away.
The next speaker is Mr. Falk.
Good morning. I never know where to start when I'm up here, but I'm going to start with this. This is what we know. There are always behind the scenes powerful, rich people who impede the progress of finding humanity in that jail. I heard a quote the other day on a documentary I was watching, and it said something to the effect that as long as money is more important than humanity, nothing will ever change. And I believe that we've had that problem. It's been 5 years. 5 years. The time to have discussion about whether this trust has been effective has passed. None of you were here when this trust began. I'm not putting the blame on you. I'm just saying that this is a failed experiment. 58 deaths. We just failed another health inspection just last week. 11 in a row. Not a single health inspection has been passed under the jail trust rule of that jail. Meanwhile, I am tired of having mothers who have lost their children cry on my shoulder. I am tired of giving people rides because they got arrested for being homeless and trying to get a drink of water in a Brahms. I know, I can give you 100 of those stories. A man in a wheelchair who was arrested because he got kicked out of his retirement facility because his Medicare didn't come through, and he got kicked out at 2 a.m, and they arrested him. And he cried in front of that jail because he had nowhere to go. So this is a matter of humanity. It is not a matter of money or profit or power, because no one has the power to play Russian roulette with the lives of the most vulnerable citizens in our county. No one has the power to just roll the dice and decide who lives, who gets traumatized, and who dies in that jail. It is past time to turn the jail back to the sheriff and work together to get the funding that we need. And finally, I just want to say that I appreciate that some of you have put in, I believe, effort to make this work. But you have to understand, before you got here, this was already a failed experiment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Gray.
Hi. I really don't want to be up here, and I know y'all don't want to hear what I have to say, but he thinks it's important to tell my story, so here I am. I have a daughter that has been, well, she called for help in 2019 when she got assaulted by a guy, and the cops showed up and assaulted her more. So that's just what happened. And she's been in the jail. She spent months in jail just because they didn't have mental health for her at Hope. I guess Hope is some kind of nonprofit that doesn't really help. And she had to stay in there for months just because they didn't have anybody to assess her. I mean, there are a lot of people in there like that. She's in the DREAMS program and here in this court. And she goes and gets drug tested like 2 or 3 times a week, even though it wasn't a drug charge. Her public pretender is the one that didn't even fight for her. She was attacked by cops. She didn't hurt them. They tased her, handcuffed her, and took her and put her in jail, where she got more brutalized. You guys don't understand what goes on in there, especially for a woman. I mean, she told me about stories of eating out of the trash, and she's a tiny girl like me. She ate food out of the trash. She didn't get her medicines. Luckily, we got her out on a ankle monitor because they didn't have mental health yet. They still didn't have that available because they ran out of money or something. They have pretend mental health people at Hope. They just barely have enough education to get it. They're not really helping her. The only thing that helped her is we gave her a place to sleep on our floor. The only way they want you to get a place to stay is if you're in sober living so you can help pay. I mean, these programs aren't working. There's people in there that are suffering, and nobody is trying to lessen the population of that jail. Why can't we do that? Why can't we find ways to get all these people out? There are a lot of people in there that are probably just like my daughter was, and she's doing a lot better now, and I'm sure there's a lot more people in there that could be helped if we would just look at them like that, like they're people instead of paychecks. Because I know how much money you guys make on phone calls so we can talk to our loved ones in there, and that's sickening. And I'm sure that you make a lot of money on the commissary so they can eat a little bit more because they're hungry. If this is the Oklahoma standard, I mean, I'm not from Oklahoma. I'm not even a Christian. But I'm like, didn't Jesus teach us that we should do more for the less? Why are we putting more burdens on the less of our people? Why can't we reach up and down and help them up? Because they haven't worked for it. We don't give them handouts. Anyways, I'm done. Thank you.
Next speaker is Miss Poplin.
Good morning. Although I'm really glad we won the finals, but what upset me was to see all the police, the military, and your deputies for a party. But we can't get the same to protect these people in this jail. Y'all aren't going to do nothing about that? And you, Tommy Johnson, isn't murder a crime? Yeah, it is. And I'm wondering why no one has been charged when they're sliding that fentanyl, them drugs, all through that jail. And everybody's supposed to be investigating it. Right, Paul? And I gave a staff member's name. And a young lady died because of that. And her name is Rachel Nolly. And her rock is up there in that garden with some flowers. And that's sad. She got a book. I don't think she got to read that book because fentanyl was in that book. She didn't wake up that next morning, though. But y'all need to do something. You hear us, but you're not listening. The other thing is, why don't we come together, and start utilizing the courtroom in the basement of that jail? Why don't we get a judge to come over 2-3 hours, a couple times a week, and start releasing the misdemeanors out of there? That way you're not overcrowded. Pretty simple. You just got to get a judge to come and do it. A couple hours a night after they get off work downtown. And utilize that courtroom down there. And get them out of the jail. Thank you.
Next speaker is Senator Johnson.
Good morning. I'm Senator Connie Johnson. Good morning to all of you. I'm here to speak just as a policy person for the last 33 plus years, where I've specialized in criminal justice reform, health and human services, mental health. And I've been privileged to share with people insight about what happens in government. And in this occasion, I'm wanting today to just make it plain to the citizens of Oklahoma County what the politics of power and who has money means. I want to make it plain about the existent culture of accrual that perpetuates our system. At the same time that we're celebrating all of the good of the championship, let's champion all Oklahomans, the homeless, the mentally ill, the children in the system, the adults in the system, the incarcerated, the loved ones like Miss Poplin of those who died in the system, including my neighbor, John Basco. Let's celebrate, in addition to our immigrant MVP, let's celebrate all of the people, including those who are wanting to take care of their loved ones. Again, the groups I've talked to, the people I've spoken with, I'm just trying to make it plain to them. This is how the process works. But don't be naive, stay involved. So thank you so much for this opportunity to speak today. Again, it's time for us to be disciplined and to be decent with regard to the challenges that are facing us in the Oklahoma County Jail, and to not give in to the power of the dollar, but let's give in to the power of the people. Thank you.
Mr. Johnston.
Good morning. I want to wish everyone here Godspeed on this journey, because as we move forward, some hard decisions are going to need to be made. Ones that should have been made a long time ago, but we now have to focus on today and tomorrow. Realities of politics is that there's probably a billionaire that's holding you guys up or two that says that we'll take your money. We'll take the money for this project or take the money for that project if you guys hand it to the sheriff. Now, there's a civil rights organization, I'm going to keep them nameless right now, that about 3 or 4 years ago was promised money from this same billionaire. We're going to buy you a new building. That building still ain't had a goddamn doorknob replaced on it yet. They do this. Come on, follow it. They keep you on a leash. It's time to put them on a leash. That's what they do. That's the realities of politics. We have to work together. And we understand now the people wanting to work together is because you're backed into a corner of inaction. We've been dealing with this for a long time. 58 deaths, 11 failed inspections. We haven't passed an inspection since the sheriff's office was in charge. It's time. This is a failed experiment. We can't keep letting people behind the dark with their fat, grubby fingers trying to tip their scales. I know one of these people, and they pay for every single side, MAGA or liberal, because they hedge their bets. They're business people. Miles and your compadres at the county commissioners. Folks, you could lose a donor or two, and you're still going to get elected. Democrat doesn't stand a snowball's chance of hell of defeating you. Or Brian. That's a fact, right? It is what it is. It's been gerrymandered. Folks have to have a lot of money. Most people don't have a lot of money. You could lose a donor or two, you're still going to win. It's what it is. Definitely Republican voters are very loyal, so you're fine. So understanding this, let's do some good, guys. The realities of the politics. If you want to know what beating big money, that man beat big money right there. He had a lot of people with a lot of money saying, guess what, I'm going to take you down. And he won the popular vote. I saw the exit polls. There's a lot of Democrats and independents that voted for you. Just saying. That's an example. One. Now imagine if you start working with other people. You don't need their fucking money. You don't need these people. They're one people. We run this county. All of us, not them. All political power is inherent in the people. That's not the Black Panthers saying that. That's our state constitution. It's us, not them. Fuck them. Let's dissolve this jail trust. It needs to happen. This experiment has failed.
Final
Godspeed.
speaker today is Miss Smith.
Good morning. My name is Lynetta Smith, and I'm here representing the Urban League of Greater Oklahoma City. The Urban League is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to assist African Americans, non-African Americans, and poor to achieve social and economic equality. And we do that through several programs. We do that through education, enrichment, workforce development, housing, advocacy, and other case management type programs. Well, one of our biggest achievements is the work that we do in this community through reentry and workforce development. And we've gotten several national awards as far as local awards for the work that we've done in this field. And I'm just really excited about the partnership that we're working with the Oklahoma County Jails and Mr. Paul Timmons, the partnership that we have with them now, where we are going into the jails and helping with things like GED, helping connect them to housing once they get out, just really helping with some skills development. We know that 1 out of 3 African Americans end up in jail more than likely. So we're trying to do some things not only to prevent them from going, but when the occasion does come, when they do end up there, providing some resources, connections, and other things to help them develop those skills so that the chance of them going back is slim to none. We have been successful with connecting them with employers that are understanding to the needs and to their background and that are willing to give them a second chance, whether that's through job training, through academic enrichment, through housing, through mental health connection, through child care connection. So it doesn't happen overnight. I've been working with the Urban League for 25 years now, and it is a slow process. And you have to have partners that are willing to go the extra mile and to really stay committed to this mission. But it is possible to have nonprofits that can help be part of the solution and not the problem. And I just want to thank Mr. Timmons for allowing us to work with them and to develop this partnership into something that I know can be beneficial to the county jail. So thank you.
That concludes the individuals who had submitted a request to address the trust. So with this, we'll move into our business section of the agenda. First action item on the agenda is discussion and possible action regarding the minutes of the May 12th meeting. Is there any discussion or is there a motion for approval?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. At this point, if Ms. Porter, if you would call the roll.
Jim Holman, AJ Griffin,
Yes.
Shelley Perkins,
Yes.
James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Buck.
Yes. By vote of 8-0, the minutes have been approved. At this point, we are ready to move into our departmental items. First among those is a report from our interim chief executive officer, Paul Timmons.
Good morning. I'm going to do the bulk of this presentation, but I'm going to have Chief Couch and Sergeant Menchaca come up and talk about some of the technology that we're getting ready to institute, as well as Chief Smith come up and speak to some of the things that the investigations division is currently working on.
And Director, you might lean into the mic a little bit so that those viewing can hear.
Sorry. These are some of the things we're talking about. That's booking or the budget, booking scanner, new academy, technology updates, infrastructure updates, and resident statistics. This is what our budget looks like for the end of the fiscal year, 25-26. What we get is 33.7 from the general fund, 5 million, 0.1 from special revenues, and what our expenses are. Payroll and benefits is 30, travel expenses for training 44,000, maintenance and operations about 13.4, and just capital improvement is 1 million, and we're projecting a 5.8 million shortfall. And C can speak a lot more to that than I can. We talk about the inspections. We feel like we've made reasonably significant progress since December on the inspection process. The health department. This kind of shows where we are. We went down from 72 pages to about 36 pages. Some of the critical issues in several deposits have been resolved or reduced. The inspector access has been improved, where 52 inmates were interviewed. The administrative documentation has been improved, and staff engagement and responsiveness to inmates and the inspectors has also been improved. And we have and continue to demonstrate a commitment to address the deficiencies at the jail. This talks about our academy. They graduate today at 1 o'clock. We have 11 that are graduating today. They've been through 8 weeks of training, and those are some of the things that they learned in the academy: defensive tactics, custody and control, crisis intervention, which I spoke to last month, was a new area for the cadets in the academy, and we're going to eventually try to go agency-wide with the crisis intervention training. We feel it's very beneficial for the staff. I spoke about our partnerships last month. That's just a list of the ones been working with, and I've added a new one to that, Indian Meridian Votech up in Stillwater. I met with the one of the instructors there that is over the corrections part of that program up there, and they're very interested and feel like that they can supply some candidates for us for potential employment. So we're looking forward to that when school kicks off this fall with the Votech up there as well. I'm gonna have Chief Smith come up.
Good morning. I'm going to cover a few things as far as investigations has done in the last couple of months. We cross-commissioned a total of 7 investigators with the detention center with the district attorney's office. That allows them to have statewide jurisdiction to follow up on some of the crimes that occur in the detention center. In the month of May, we filed 44 charges. I would say 98% of those being felony charges. My investigators closed 23 cases. 14 of those were contraband related, and then there was a total of 20 new cases opened, and then 11 arrest warrants were filed. These numbers show some of the statistics as far as the decrease in overdoses that we've had. I touched on it back in February. Of course, it's going to wax and wane as it has, but in the month of May, we had 10, and that is a drastic drop from January. And I'm going to turn this over to Chief Couch to cover.
1 second, please. Paul, do you prefer for questions to be answered by the segment or in wrap up at the end, since you're having people work through? By the segment. So I'm going to ask a question if any others have a question for the investigator. OBN came out, I believe it was this week, with some new data points on drug prevalence and what is being presented. Do you have any early observations on some of those data points? Specifically, there was a new agent that was discussed that I was unfamiliar with that has a potency greater than fentanyl. Just any comments?
No comments yet. I'm also just now hearing and learning about that, so I've got my own research to do.
Okay. Any other questions for?
I know at one time we talked a little bit about canines and increased use of canines. Where are we on that?
So we haven't set a canine program in place. We've been utilizing the Inspector General's office at their leisure, at random. They'll come in with a dog or two and search the employees, the employee areas, and maybe a floor. It's kind of random right now.
And I think what is the financial impact if we were to have our own?
So roughly, I would be guessing, but it's pricey to have the dog, to get the dog and the officer trained, and then the daily care for the dog, the vet visits.
Okay, and last question. Ideally, how many canines would we utilize daily in order to prevent as much as possible?
Ideally, like in a dream world, ideally?
Like in a dream world.
2. 2 would be the magic number, I think.
Any other questions from the investigator? Okay, thank you for indulging the questions. I believe, Mr. Couch, you were on your way to the mic, so if you would please do so.
Good morning. Let's talk about some technology. So an update on the BLDS, or Basic Life Detection, Biolife Detection System. If you don't know what it is, I'll just tell everybody. It's a non-invasive radar-based monitoring system that detects heart and respiration rate with no wearables. It's a brand new technology, and we are the flagship of that. We have 6 of these units installed on our 13th floor. That covers 1 of the pods, with a total of 42 to be installed on the 13th floor. So we determined that it'd be a good idea to be able to see in these cells a lot better to check on people. So we've been retrofitting our cell doors. As you can see in the picture, the one that says 19, that's that's eye level for most people, but not for all people. We need to be able to see all the way in there. So what we've been doing is our maintenance department in-house has been cutting those doors and putting in extra windows and glass so that we can see in there to make sure everyone's safe. Just a point of a note on this, these doors take 1 week per to do. Our IT department has completed our camera network optimization. Basically, they were linking switches on the cameras with fiber links so that there's no lag in the video playback. Our live scan machines, which are where you get fingerprinted, have been upgraded to new machines. That's complete. We've got some medical forms that are ongoing in build, and we've added 1 help desk technician to our IT team. Are there any questions for me? Okay, I'll turn this over to Sergeant Menchaca, who will be talking about our jail management system, Jail Tracker.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sergeant Lauren Menchaca. I serve as one of the administrators for the jail's offender management system, Jail Tracker. Jail Tracker is a software. It supports inmate data management and facility operations. Recently, Jail Tracker rolled out an update that's aimed at streamlining intake workflow that would allow us to increase the booking process time. Move through the booking process more quickly with fewer errors. Looking ahead, we are looking to explore and implement some additional features as far as, just within the system. We've only begun to scratch the surface of what Jail Tracker is capable of. So we're anticipating a significant reduction in data entry, manpower, paper reduction, and in turn, this will enhance the efficiency, improve the accuracy of our record keeping, therefore providing better statistics, and just strengthening the overall internal workflow. This provides a centralized hub also for more critical information, because currently we're relying on multiple different systems for accessing and storing different types of data. This leads to inconsistencies, extra work for staff. Jail Tracker offers the opportunity for, consolidating that information, making it more accessible, reliable, and easier to manage. Our next steps that we're looking at, we're going to integrate Jail Tracker for incident reporting, tracking disciplinary sanctions, modifying our inmate property inventory process, and that's utilizing the tools that the system has to offer. Ultimately, the goal is to use Jail Tracker not just as a data repository, but as a comprehensive management solution that supports the safety, efficiency, and effectiveness for the facility. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
So I think with our technology piece, we're making progress. It's kind of a slow process, but we're getting there. And I think with the updates and upgrades that we're going to have with Jail Tracker, it will help us do things a lot more efficiently and be able to gather data more effectively and completely. This talks a little bit about the opioid abatement grant that we've applied for, and those are just some of the things that, if we're successful in receiving that grant, that we'll be using it for. Medical division progress, we've added a new dentist, request for proposals, things like that. We have a part-time psychiatrist on staff now. We talked about the larger windows in the doors, talking about getting a different OBGYN table, and in talks for a new lab type, and just trying to make some upgrades up there. And we've been working with the kitchen, the medical staff has been working with the kitchen to refine and improve the medical diets, and hopefully have a registered dietitian on board soon. This talks about our intake, just kind of the population that we see that are getting booked in. homeless 31%, DUI is 16%, mental health is about 19%, alcohol use 20, and some kind of CDS 9%, and veterans are about 5% of the population there. Some of the programs we talked about, the GED program, we're entering in that partnership with the Urban League as well as OIC, and we're hope to get that on board and started by August. We have a few logistics that we need to get worked out, and OIC has a couple of people that need to go through some training to be able to do it at the facility. That's scheduled to start, I believe, the second week of July. So once we get that worked out, and we're in talks with NCIC now to provide tablets for the GED classes and everything that it will encompass. But hopefully by sometime in August, first and middle of August, we should have those programs up and running. I had some information on the number of people that were interested in taking those classes as well, but somehow that slide didn't make it in here. This is a breakdown of the current population at the facility. 43% Black, 15% Hispanic, Natives 4%, White 36%, Asian 23%, and Middle Eastern 7%. Top 10 charges: murder, manslaughter. Breakdown of the male and female for those charges. Currently, we have 1462 that are felony arrests and 915 for misdemeanor. That's just a kind of a breakdown of the different charges. Arresting agencies: Oklahoma City by far number 1, Sheriff's Office number 2, Admin, Highway Patrol, and Dale City. This talks about the May average population. It's kind of been fluctuating a little bit. I think it's a little bit higher the last several months than it has been previously before the start of the year. Not sure why that is, but we've been running a little high. This talks about the repeat offenders that have been there before. Special housing numbers, that includes the people that are there for administrative segregation, protective custody, mental health operation, or SP1 and DS. That concludes my part of this presentation. Does anybody have any questions of me?
Questions for Mr. Timmons? Senator Griffin?
You know I'm going to have questions.
Absolutely.
Chief, if I'm going back to the population mix currently, we're at 2208 that were booked in May, and of the 543 women, that seems higher than normal. Am I right? That seems like a significantly higher number of women than usual.
I think it is. Mark Omgren usually tracks that information,
Okay.
so I go by what he tells me.
Okay. All right. I'll take a look at that.
Okay.
It just seemed significantly higher than normal.
Follow up?
No.
No. Any other questions for Mr. Timmons? I have one for you real quick. Yes, population is trending up. If I look at the monthly averages, it's running about 180 per person, or 180 per month higher year over year in evaluating that. But in looking at the numbers that Mark sends out on census, we had over 200 that were in J&S status. And that's a number that seems to have been growing significantly. Correct me if I'm wrong, J&S is a indication that they're awaiting transfer to DOC, correct?
That is correct.
They have a conviction. They are in DOC's responsibility, but we are still providing housing.
That's correct.
At what, $24 a day?
27.
$27 a day. Any reason other than just seasonal trends why we might have seen that number grow from 120 up to 210 to 11 now?
I don't have any idea. Just seasonal trends, time of the year. Just, I don't know. No idea.
Thank you.
Follow up on that. So they used to come twice a week, DOC. Are they still coming twice a week to do pickups? Or is
It's
it now once a
now,
week?
isn't it?
Mr. Logan, if you'd please come to the mic so that we can capture that.
DOC and our JNS coordinator talk several times a week to make the list. They provide us a list of people that they want to accept, and they used to do that for males twice a week. They used to take 20 males every week. That has been cut in half. They only take 10 males a week for probably the last 6 to 8 weeks, maybe the last 12 weeks. Females, there's been no issue with females. They take them within 10 days of them being sentenced usually, but there's not near as many females going to prison. We usually transport maybe at the most 4 or 5 a week of females. So that's definitely what a contributor to the rising population is, half the male DOC inmates being pulled every week.
Follow up, Commissioner? Senator?
Are there any noticeable anomalies about who they're selecting? Are we leaving individuals in need of mental health treatment longer?
No. So DOC and the public defender, Ms. Biffle, works pretty good keeping track and getting people out that have been there for quite some time. We get the DOC gets the JNS the very same time we get them. They get emailed to both of us at the very same time. However, DOC will call and say, "Hey, this guy's been here for 60 days. Why hasn't he been picked up?" "Oh, we don't have his JNS." "Okay, well, you got it the same time we did." "Well, we don't have it." But they won't. It's almost like they don't keep track of who they haven't got. You know what I'm saying? We have to call about it, and then they'll say, "Well, we don't have it," and so we'll have to request the court clerk or whoever sends it to send them another one. Also, another factor is the JNSs will be wrong, like a statute will be incorrect, and they won't take them if the statute isn't perfect. So that puts a delay on things. And we just found out yesterday that if they've been sentenced to in custody RID, which is a program in DOC, and they also have an immigration hold, DOC won't take them. So Ms. Biffle, I know, has been in communication with them trying to figure out an alternative to that.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Mr. Johnson?
What is the issue with RID? That's the boot camp, correct?
Yeah, as far as I'm
so what is the issue with them not taking them?
Just, and I don't know why the reason is, but they said if they have an immigration hold and sentenced to in custody RID, they won't take them. Like I said, Ms. Biffle was in contact with them to find out an alternative.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner?
Do you know when the increase? It's $27 a day currently, but it's supposed to go up to 32. Is that a November increase, or was that immediate? Do we know?
I think it's November.
November. Okay.
Any other follow-ups? Seeing no other follow-ups, what is the pleasure of the trust relative to the acceptance of the report? Is there a motion to accept?
I move that we accept the report.
There's been a motion by Mr. Johnson. Is there a second? It has been a second by Commissioner Davidson. Any further discussion? Absent further discussion at this point, Mr. Porter, if you'd please call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin,
Yes.
Shelley Perkins,
Yes.
James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie, Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Buck.
Yes. By a vote of 8-0, the motion passes. Next agenda item is agenda item number 3, which is a report from our CFO, Chris Sherman. I believe, C, you are here to present in his stead today. So, C, we are ready for your report.
Good morning. All right, the revenue for May was 4.9 million, and that's a favorable variance by 1.7 million. And Department of Correction revenue for April boarding was $138,213. The telephone revenue, it's 100,000, was below the budget by 19,699. The commissary revenue was 39,440, and it was below the budget by 15,000. The municipality boarding revenue for the month was 1.8 million, and City of Oklahoma City paid 750,000 for fiscal year 24 boarding and 1.05 million for the current fiscal year. As for the expenses, the total expenses for the month was 3.6 million, and that's an unfavorable to variance by $229,958. And the salaries, wages, and benefits total 2.2 million for the month, and above the budget by 408,000 due to medical staffing. Inmate offsite medical care was 251,000, and that was above the budget by 181,000. Professional service legal fees were 66,000, and for the professional service others, there were 200,000, and they were for the painters and janitorial services and BHS staffing to do site check and the professional consulting. And IT services were 38,000, and 11,926 will be reimbursed from the county for the ARPA networking project. And telecommunication equipment, the capital improvement for the ARPA networking project was for 35,721. It will get reimbursed from the county as well. And the summary for the month of May, the jail operation produced a net income for the month of 1.3 million. It was mainly due to the payments received from City of Oklahoma City. And there's no cash on hand after paying May invoices and May payroll and benefits. And this is the budget comparison to the actual number, and this is the actual number through the month of May, and we are receiving, once we update the June, and we'll have more update on this, and we should end up for the fiscal year have a balanced budget. And that's the NCIC, the telephone revenue. Do you have any questions?
Questions for C? I have one, and this is a forward-looking question, and you might ask your colleague, Mr. Couch, to help clarify this. I understand that there is some NCIC guidance relative to maximum rate charged. If you could help clarify that, because the trust has previously taken a position of reducing the income that we make off of telecommunications. That was a vote that was orchestrated here, and there might be additional changes in guidance which further might put some of that funding also in jeopardy. Is that correct?
That's correct. The FCC has recently made a decision that will take effect January 2026 unless a pending appeal repeals that, to basically zero out any income we have from phone calls.
And so the follow-up, thank you for that clarification. So the follow-up is, has that potential risk influenced the budget, the projected FY26 budget that you discussed earlier, or is that absent a change there?
That's absolutely, it's not included in that. So there'll be additional, if it's about 190 to 100,000 a month, that would be about 1 point. But yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So thank you, and I'm sorry to have not talked about that in advance, but for my colleagues know that as we talk about the budget, that potentially is an impacting factor that we may also have to wrestle with. So thank you for that clarification. Other questions for C?
Sorry. See, the budget shortfall that we discussed earlier that's projected is based on fully staffed at current headcount, current employee count, I should say?
No, that's based on that's based on 392 full-time positions, and right now we have about 340 staff, and the vacant position, about 30 of them for detention officer. Right now, because we don't have the officer to do that, and we hired about 20 employees from VHS to do site check, which costs us more money right now. And then a few medical staff and clerical positions. Yeah.
Other questions? Absent other questions, is there a motion relative to the financial reports? There's been a motion to receive and a second. Absent any other further conversation, Ms. Porter, if you'd please call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins,
Yes.
James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson, Tommy Johnson III, Stephen Buck.
Yes. By vote of 8-0, the motion to receive the reports has passed. At this point, agenda item number 4. We have done this previously due to the cancellation of our meeting on the 16th and this meeting occurring on the 30th. In my role as chair, I authorized the payment of receipts and invoices so that we were not behind with our vendors. The action before you is to consider ratification of the payment of those receipts and invoices.
Motion to approve.
There's been a motion to approve and a second. This is a motion for ratification. Any further questions? If not, Ms. Porter, if you'd call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson, Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Buck.
Yes. By vote of 8-0, agenda item number 4 advances. Agenda item number 5, this is presented at my request. Agenda item number 5 relates to a memorandum of understanding with the Oklahoma Data Exchange to provide records and data to facilitate research that may be used to streamline systems in the criminal legal justice process. This is a new initiative that has been done to pull criminal justice data from across the state to help policymakers make more informed decisions, de-identified in terms of any HIPAA concerns, generally publicly available data that's available through OSCN or elsewhere. I am happy to entertain any questions. If appropriate, this mirrors another data agreement we've had. Seeing none, I have a motion to approve. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Absent any other questions, Ms. Porter, if you would please call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie, Miles Davidson, Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Buck.
Yes. Agenda item number 6 is discussion and possible action regarding a consulting agreement. I believe this is an item that we will address in executive session and return to. Is that correct, council? Okay, thank you. Agenda item number 7, this is a agenda item of my request, a possible discussion and possible action to request that the Board of County Commissioners conduct a concurrent performance review with the authority, including but not limited to evaluating the merits of continued operational and financial oversight of the detention center by the authority. If you might grant me a little latitude, since I requested the item, I will explain why I requested the item. In May, during the period of time that we discussed the officer elections, I expressed my frustration with the status quo, that we have an obligation to continually evaluate ourselves. There is an analogy that was used in the early 90s about the self-licking ice cream cone. I don't know how many of you have heard that analogy, but a self-licking ice cream cone is an entity that exists only to continue to exist. It perpetuates itself. And candidly, I don't make that statement to suggest that we should not continue to exist. That may not be the conclusion, but I don't want to be part of a process that makes that assumption without a strong review of what we're doing and what we can do to be best. We are 5 years old, and it's time, to my opinion, to look in the mirror. And I would tell you, I would be making a recommendation to do this, whether or not we were, even if we were performing at the highest level of efficiency. Self-evaluation is a good and important thing, and it is time that we do that. My experience with the state, we had opportunity to take part in what were called governmental efficiency audits, and we also had the opportunity to fall under the purview of an entity known as LOFT, the Legislative Office of Fiscal Transparency. My colleague, Senator Griffin, knows all about those two entities. She has been part of those two processes. We don't have that in the county, and so I take it upon myself to have the responsibility to initiate a review to evaluate what is best for the citizens of this county moving forward. You will notice that the wording very specifically includes a request to the Board of County Commissioners. For those who don't know, our governing documents are quite unique in that even though we are an independent entity of government, we work in collaboration with the county commissioners in terms of our organizational structure. So pending the outcome of this discussion, Commissioner Davidson, my hope is you would visit with your colleagues and perhaps consider joining us. There are some good groups to work with. We have the Citizens Advisory Board, which has been appointed and created. They certainly have a voice. CJAC, under the leadership now of D.A. Vahena, is another group that I would expect to see us collaborate with. So I bring this item for you from the standpoint that at a 5-year window, I think it is appropriate for us to help collectively and with a structured process determine what is best. I think that we owe it to the people of this county to strive to be best. And I come into this conversation without any preconceived notion of what best is. That's why you have a process. I am not a fan of quick reactions. I think we owe it to ourselves and those we serve to go through a process that is deliberative, constructive, and leads us to best. That is why I brought that forward. I am happy to entertain any conversations, and if the conversation should lead to a motion to initiate a process.
Is it great? I think it's a great idea for us to go ahead and take an introspective look on the things that we've accomplished, things we've not accomplished, and things that we should accomplish in the future. So unless there's any questions, I'd absolutely think that this is something that we should be doing and the Board of County Commissioners should join in on. So I'm more than happy to make a motion to approve.
There has been a motion. It is now on the floor. Is there a second? Second. It has been moved and seconded to initiate this process. At this point, Ms. Porter, if you would please call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin,
Yes.
Shelley Perkins,
Yes.
James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie, Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. And I should have added, I'll take a moment of latitude here. I should have added that I would anticipate what that process might look like would be an item that would be considered at our next regularly scheduled trust meeting in early July. I think it's important that we establish a framework that is transparent and something that is able to follow. So I appreciate all of you for that. The next item, I think, dovetails very nicely with that conversation. And this was agenda item requested by Trustee Scobie regarding a presentation, which that presentation may yet to be developed, but Trustee Scobie, if you would please share the purposes of introducing your item.
Thank you, Chairman Buck. We certainly are grateful for you. I sit here today, and this will be a discourse. I sit here today as someone who has witnessed firsthand the challenges, the struggles, and failures that have plagued this institution over the nearly 3 years of dedicated service that I have performed. Come September, it will have been 3 years that I have been a member of the Oklahoma County Jail Trust, making me the longest serving trust member who is not an elected official. In fact, the only trust member with longer tenure is Sheriff Tommy Johnson, not even Commissioner Miles Davidson, who was officially on the jail trust I believe it was January 3rd, 2023. Before that, it was Kevin Calvi. My tenure certainly has afforded me a perspective that I believe is both unique and necessary as we confront the harsh realities of where we stand today and where we must go from here. In my time as a trust member, I have witnessed a cascade of systemic failures that have undermined public confidence, endangered lives, and called into question our very ability to fulfill really this fundamental mandate that we have of operating a safe, secure, and humane detention facility. We have endured continued failed health department inspections, a pattern that really speaks to the deep-rooted operational deficiencies that persist despite repeated promises of reform and improvement. While not all occurring under my specific tenure, we must acknowledge the stark reality that close to 60 people, I believe 58 deaths have occurred since the inception of the jail trust. Each of these represent not a statistic, but a human life lost under our watch. And each really demands our serious reflection and commitment to change. The facility has been plagued by multiple assaults among the detained population, creating really an environment where safety cannot be guaranteed for those in our custody. We have documented alleged sexual assaults, violations that really strike at the very human core of human dignity and our responsibility really as custodians of these vulnerable individuals. The level of contraband entering our facility has really reached alarming proportions, representing not just a security breach, but a fundamental breakdown in our operational integrity. Perhaps really the most troubling has been the pattern of staff misconduct that has required us to really, as we have gone on, we have looked and saw that many have been terminated due to bringing contraband into the facility. This represents a betrayal of public trust and a corruption of the very system meant to ensure safety and security. Most recently, we terminated a jail staff member who has now been charged with a felony for her alleged involvement in failing to conduct a site check or respond appropriately to an alleged assault. Really a dereliction of duty that may have contributed to the preventable harm. The community criticism we have endured is not unwarranted. It reflects the legitimate concerns of taxpayers and citizens who expect competent professional management of public institutions. We have grappled with bed bug infestations, really that have created unsanitary and humane conditions. We have faced operational crises that have tested our systems and found them wanting time and time again. The instability in leadership has been both a symptom and a cause for our ongoing difficulties. We have cycled through jail administrators and detention center leadership with alarming frequency. We began with Greg Williams serving as the Oklahoma County Detention Center CEO. We then transitioned to another administrator, Brandy Garner, we were all seeking stability and fresh perspective. Currently, we have Paul Timmons, a good man, serving as an interim administrator, really continuing this pattern of transitional leadership that has prevented the establishment of consistent and long-term operational strategies. The jail trust membership itself has had an extraordinarily high turnover, with close to, I believe, 30 different trust members serving over the last 5 years. You can count them if you'd like. What makes this turnover particularly concerning is that none of these departures were due to natural term expirations, other than Kevin Calvi, who decided not to run for county commissioner again, and therefore he would have had to roll off. Every single one, it represents resignation. This revolving door of membership has undermined institutional knowledge and community oversight. Among our departed members, we have had individuals of extraordinary caliber and national prominence. A member of the distinguished Gaylord family, whose contributions to Oklahoma are evident throughout our state and nation. Another trust member so esteemed that an entire building bears his name and a statue downtown. It honors his service to our community. And yet another who served as George W. Bush's campaign manager when he ran for governor of the state of Texas, and continued in service during Bush's presidency, later serving as a FEMA director and Oklahoma State Bureau of Prisons director, a man whose expertise and reputation command respect throughout the nation. The reason that I bring them up is not to speak disparagingly about them. It's just saying we have had some high caliber people, and they nor us have been able to correct the problem. After various interim appointments and transitions, we now have our esteemed chair, Steve Buck. He serves as our current chair for the trust. He's a brilliant and dedicated public servant whose character and capabilities give me hope. But he inherited and really the accumulated challenge of years of systemic problems. The health department inspections, failures, they continue to plague our operations, indicating that fundamental sanitation and safety protocols remain inadequately implemented. A few years ago, there was an alleged sexual assault that former DA Prater stood right at that lectern, and he said it was a rape. What he saw was a woman chained to a wall and sexually assaulted. This represents not just another incident, but a pattern of our inability to protect those in our custody due to lack of staff. Again, this is not speaking disparagingly against our current staff. I am simply going over the entire 5 years as best as I can. The termination of a jail staff member for failing to respond to that alleged assault that ultimately resulted in a death, it underscores the life and death consequences of operational failures and staff negligence. We have endured, again, these bed bug and these infestations that have created an entirely different problem. We have discovered staff members, they bring contraband into the facility, requiring us to have to conduct really operational stings to root out this corruption within our very own ranks. Each of these incidents, they chip away at the public confidence and really raises fundamental questions about our capacity to fulfill our mission. The problems are not merely operational, they are systemic, they are structural, and in many cases rooted in chronic underfunding. Chronic underfunding that has left us unable to maintain adequate staffing, proper facilities, or comprehensive programming that could address the root causes of institutional dysfunction. Many have said that the jail needs to be handed back over to the sheriff. But what I will not be a part of, and that is crippling our Oklahoma County Sheriff, Tommy Johnson, with him getting a jail that is underfunded as well. We're not going to cripple him. We are severely understaffed and at times leaving certain floors with very few detention officers on board. We have reached a position where the detained individuals cannot be let out of their cells on the weekends to bathe, take showers, because we do not have sufficient staff to ensure proper supervision and security. This represents a fundamental breakdown in our ability to provide even the most basic human dignity, and sanitary conditions to those in our custody. I came here today in today's meeting prepared to make a motion that I considered absolutely necessary, but a drastic decision. My intention, again, to make this motion was to disband the jail trust entirely. After nearly 3 years of witnessing failure after failure, crisis after crisis, a reform effort after reform effort, and that failed to produce any lasting change. I had concluded that our current structure was fundamentally incapable of addressing the magnitude of the challenges we face. However, I have recently changed my mind based upon new information that has come to light in the last week and a half. As I have always maintained, I very rarely change my mind, but with new information, at times leads to new decisions. And I always pride myself, Chairman Buck, on being willing to reconsider positions when circumstances warrant such reconsideration. The central problem that we have in the Oklahoma County Detention Center is that we face, again, chronic underfunding. We simply do not have enough resources to properly fund and operate this jail to the standards that public safety and human dignity demand. We are currently operating on about a $36 million or $37 million budget, a figure that is very inadequate for the scope and complexity of our mission. I am deeply concerned that if we do not address these funding shortfalls and operational deficiencies, that the Department of Justice may come in and intervene and place our facility into federal receivership. Under such circumstances, which I've heard many say that will never happen, but none of us know what will happen in the future. The federal government would come in and assume control of operations and spend whatever amount of money they deem necessary to bring the facility into compliance and constitutional standards, whether it requires 70, 80, or $90 million or $60 million or more annually. Such an outcome, it would represent a complete loss of local control, and it would burden the Oklahoma County taxpayers an amount that would cost probably double. It probably takes somewhere around 60 to $65 million, Brother Pettis, to operate that jail in today's time. This loss of oversight and decision-making authority would be a profound failure of local government. So this new information that has caused me to reconsider my position, it involves a group of individuals that are currently working on innovative approaches to bring additional revenue into our jail operations. These efforts represent a potential pathway to address our chronic underfunding, shortfalls without placing an unnecessary burden on taxpayers or risking federal intervention. If successful, these revenue enhancements, they could provide the financial foundation necessary to implement reforms, staffing improvements, facility upgrades, and programming expansions that have been impossible under our current budget restraints. This represents, and I'm closing now, this represents not just an opportunity for incremental improvement, but potentially a transformative change that could address the root causes of our ongoing crisis. So in light of this developing opportunity, I've decided that calling for the dissolution of the jail trust at this time would be counterproductive and potentially harmful to these promising initiatives. Instead, I am committed to working alongside of these groups in any way that I can contribute, lending my voice, my influence, and my experience to support these efforts that could fundamentally change our trajectory. This does not represent a retreat from accountability or a diminishment of my concerns about our current performance. Rather, it reflects my recognition that constructive engagement in pursuit of systemic solutions are more likely to serve the public interest than dramatic gestures that could undermine promising reform efforts. I want to be clear that my decision today not to call for the dissolution should not be interpreted as satisfaction with the status quo. But I believe that there is a way forward, and as my esteemed colleague and chair says, Steve Buck, that we will not continue to kick the can down the road the same way we have before. So regarding this agenda item, I'm not making any motion for dissolution. Instead, I'm calling upon this trust to recommit ourselves to the hard work of reform and actively supporting the revenue enhancements that could provide the foundation of a lasting change. And with that, I am under no type of, I don't have to commit today to where that help is potentially coming from. But I trust that it's coming. And if it does not, then we know that we're back to square one. But if I am not mistaken, there are only three possibilities. There's a jail trust. There is it going back to Sheriff Tommy Johnson, or really the office of sheriff, or some type of private entity that could oversee the jail, which I don't believe that will happen. But what I will not do, because I continue to hear how this football needs to be thrown back over to the sheriff's office. I will not cripple him. And I want to stand representing most of the Black pastors in Oklahoma City, that we will not support this jail moving back to the sheriff under the current financial shortfalls that it has. And what I do want to communicate very clearly is that the county of Oklahoma, it has about $125 million per year to operate this entire county. There is no other money that is there with this budget board to run this county jail. Maybe we could get $1 million. Maybe we could get $2 million. Maybe that's there. But what is not there is $20 million, $30 million. So I will not criticize our Oklahoma County commissioners. I have the highest regard for all three of them. I will not criticize the budget board because they have nothing to work with to put more money in this jail, money that would really make a difference. So with that, somebody's going to have to find more money. And I'm going to trust that certain groups, they will find more money. And if they don't, I can assure you within 6 months, if not 4, I will be right back here, and I will be compelled to make a motion that an RFP be sent out for a private entity, because again, I don't want to cripple our sheriff. I want our sheriff to have another term in office. And if this jail goes back to him in the way it is, he is going to be the only one that people blame. And again, that will cripple him, and I won't do that. That's all.
If I understand correctly, Trustee Scobie, you are not offering a motion, correct?
No.
Are there any questions for the trustee? Absent those questions, we will move forward with no action from this agenda item. But thank you for your statement and your commitment, and I join you in the fact that time is of the essence. The next agenda item is discussion and possible action for the nomination and election of a trustee to serve as the chairperson for term beginning July 1st, 2025. And there will be a second agenda item following regarding the vice chair. So at this point, I open the floor for any nominations for chairmanship.
I'll nominate Steve Buck.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Are there any other candidates, please? No. So I will share with the members of the trust that I have a great commitment to the path charted forward today, which is for us to take that firm look in the mirror and explore what is best for this state. And to the context that I am able to serve towards that end, I will continue. Once we reach that point, should I be elected, I might choose to step away due to professional obligations, but I am committed to being better. And so I will continue to serve until we reach a point of decision on that. So with that, it has been moved and seconded for my election. Ms. Porter, please call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. By vote of 8-0, I will continue in the role as chairperson. At this point, we are ready to consider a nomination for the role of vice chairman.
I nominate AJ Griffin.
Second.
Willing to serve? Other nominations? Absent other nominations, if we would please move to a vote.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. Agenda item number 11 regards a report from the Criminal Justice Citizens Advisory Board, known as CAB. Mr. Still, Ms. Engelke, are either of you here? I did talk to Mr. Still yesterday. Of note to members of the trustees, they are down to 5 members. One of the original appointees, Reverend Douglas, has submitted his resignation. And so it will be my intent for the July 14th meeting for us to have nominations to fill out those so that they can play their role. The next regularly scheduled meeting is Monday, July the 14th. That will be the next time that we convene. While mentioning that, I will make a statement. I think we are at a critical time moving forward. Professional obligations will require me to miss a couple of trust meetings, work-related obligations. I will be visiting with the members of the trust to see whether you would prefer to keep those as scheduled or perhaps seek a date for rescheduling. We will do that well in advance so that the public may have appropriate notice, if that's the consensus. Are there any board member remarks to offer? We have, at my understanding, a relatively short executive session agenda before us. So if there's a motion for us to recess to move into executive session. That motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
It's moved and seconded for the purpose of a recess to executive session. Call the roll, please.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin,
Yes.
Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson, Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. We are at recess. All those in favor of the motion to reconvene, please, well, call the roll.
Well, if you all could push your buttons for
Oh,
me, please.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, now we can call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. We have reconvened and we are going to address 3 items. The first of those will be a return to agenda item number 6.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the consulting agreement. Is there a second? And moved and seconded to receive the consulting agreement. Please call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin,
Yes.
Shelley Perkins,
Yes.
James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. The next item, agenda item number 17. Is there any action on agenda item number 17?
Sorry, I would like to make a motion to accept their offer to settle at $55,000.
You have heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins,
Yes.
James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Comment.
Mr. Scobie.
Morally, I vehemently disagree, and it's no. Financially, yes. Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. And our final item of business, agenda item number 15.
I would like to make a motion to remove the case from state to federal court.
Second.
I may have misidentified. Was it item 18? Thank you. My apologies. So it is item number 18 that we have action on. There has been a motion and a second. If you'd call the roll, please. Ms. Porter.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. With that, we are prepared to reach the end of our business agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Motion is second.
Second.
Much to Commissioner Davidson's disappointment, we will call the roll, Commissioner.
Jim Holman,
Yes.
AJ Griffin, Shelley Perkins, James Johnson,
Yes.
Derek Scobie,
Yes.
Miles Davidson,
Yes.
Tommy Johnson III,
Yes.
Stephen Beck.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned.